sisters of the world. Ha! Joe is, Joe is still new, so he hasn't really caught on to that yet. Joe, what we try to do is after the intro stops, we try to catch it with a clap in unison. Ian and I, we did okay just now, but it still takes some work. But yeah, welcome to the Brothers of the World podcast, everybody. As always, we're glad to have everybody join us, and we're back after a win. As we're known as the Fair Weather Brothers. After an inter win, most likely we're gonna record. We usually find excuses after draws and losses, but after a win, we're usually there. I'm glad to be joined by Joe. Average Joe on Twitter, you guys know him. Get ready for some good takes. And old reliable Ian with the clean shave. Hey Ian, man, it's good to see you, bro. It's been a minute. I'll start with you. Tell me how you been. How's life treating you? And then I'll check in with Joe and we'll get right into the match.
Yeah, it's all right. Life's been good. Inter got us good. I mean, when was the last time I was on here? After I went to the Salzburg match, I think I was on then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. So yeah, since then nothing really special happened except Inter keep winning.
That's a good thing. We can't complain about that. How about you, Joe? How was your week? I know we spoke last week. Everything's good.
Oh, everything's great. Everything's great on break and feeling great.
All right, awesome, man. You got to get those. Make sure you get that rest in, get that sleep in, so you can get fresh for the next semester coming up. All right, so let's get into it, guys. Inter Udinese. Wow, what a performance from the first minute. We were dominant, and we ended up finishing the match 4-0. It could have been more, So I want to go ahead and start with you, Joe. Tell me how you feel. How do you feel about this performance? Was it something that you expected? Were you impressed? Go ahead, the floor is yours.
It was pure dominance. I expected a victory because Udinese this season have been really bad. I didn't expect the game plan to be that perfectly executed. I very rarely, I was messaging with someone last night. Very rarely have I seen an Inzaghi team execute a game plan that well from minute one without having to make an adjustment. And what I really liked was the tactical setup in terms of how someone on Twitter pointed this out, how we would get numerical advantages on one side, then we'd change the point of attack immediately and do a diagonal to the other side. Yep. And it's the best way, in my opinion, to approach a low block like Udinese played for minute one.
Yeah.
I mean, the first half we had 75% possession. And it worked. It worked so well. And yeah, I couldn't be prouder of that performance. It got me really excited and really optimistic.
Yeah, for sure. Great takes. I mean, as always, I can't wait to really get into that with you, with how really Inzaghi attacked that low block. But I want to go to Ian first. Tell me, bro. I know usually you're not so optimistic most of the time, but I'm sure the last couple of months Inter has given you a reason to be optimistic. Tell me, how you feel? Did you expect such dominant performance? What did you like? What did you not like from yesterday?
I mean, given the fact that it's Udinese, we all remember Inter bells probably from a couple of years ago.
You see, he remembers everything that jinxes us.
I only remember it because that song absolutely slaps. It's still on my Christmas playlist. It's great.
I don't know about that.
I mean, this season in official competitions, we only lost one game against Sassuolo. I mean, other than that, we've been, 5-6 wins since the end of October and 2 draws. The 2 draws coming against Juventus and Benfica. But still, I mean, I think the team is performing brilliantly. I think what we're doing is genuinely the best football in Italy right now. I think this might be a bit too optimistic, but I think no one can stop us at this moment. I think it's ours. Everything in Italy is ours to lose. We will see against Sociedad how we do, since it's a European match. It might be a bit more difficult. But still, it is at home. But yeah, I mean, given that it was Udinese, I was thinking, all right, maybe a 1-1, maybe a 2-2, maybe a 2-1 win, 4-0. But 3 goals coming in 7 minutes. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree. And one thing that really rang a bell in my ear as soon as you said it was we're playing the best football in Italy, but yet we're still only 2 points ahead of Juve, who one can say are on the opposite spectrum of the best football in Italy. To put it nicely, we're not gonna say they're playing the worst football in Italy, but they're pretty close. We're gonna get to that as well. But let's dig a little more into the Udinese match. First episode that we have to speak about is the penalty. Um, what do you guys think? I'm gonna kick it to Ian first. What do you think? For me personally, I want to give my opinion on it. I feel like it was a penalty. Lautaro, as a professional, as a slick player that he's becoming. He felt the contact and he used it to his advantage. And after seeing multiple replays, in my opinion, had he not gotten tugged back, he wouldn't gotten to that ball. He's probably heading that in anyway. So to me, it was a fair shot, and of course, anytime we get a penalty, there are going to be some naysayers, and we saw it on Twitter. But for me personally, I was quite comfortable with getting that penalty as an Inter fan. How about you, Ian? How do you feel about the penalty?
Um, there's a thing that I notice with certain types of penalties
Mhm.
in Italy, or basically everywhere, but it's like if it's just a little bit of a softer side, we say we'll take it, then every other rival says, "Oh no, it's not a penalty." Blah blah blah. But if it's reversed, it's the same thing. Like they say, "Oh, we'll
Same
take it," but
thing.
like we say, blah, blah, blah. So like for me,
Yeah.
obviously, I'll say it was like the guy took Lautaro down. But I've seen already people bitching and moaning that it's not a pen.
Mhm.
So I
You
mean,
know
I'll
what?
take it.
I'll even give you a little pushback on that. I don't even think the guy took Lautaro down, like you said. I think the guy tugged on Lautaro's shoulder, and Lautaro felt that contact, and he went to the ground. I don't think that contact was enough. What about you, Joe? I want to bring you in on this. How do you feel about the penalty? I feel like it was just Lautaro feeling the contact and taking advantage. Go ahead.
I completely agree. I was originally unsure about the call.
Mm.
And I was confirmed. I leaned toward it being a penalty immediately
Mhm.
after when they went to the VAR,
Yeah.
but then after the match, you saw these Italian referee experts and former referees saying, "Yeah, he was stupid, and that was a penalty."
Yeah.
So it gave me confidence that they made the right decision. So
No.
let the rival fans say what they may.
Yeah, that's how it's always going to be. I remember that season 2 years ago when Milan won the Scudetto. I remember I was personally one of the guys, uh, probably 95% of the penalties they got that season, and they got a lot. I had an issue with it. So it kind of feels good to be on the reverse side of it. And one last thing I will say about the penalty. Personally, I felt like maybe it was not going to be given because in live, in live play, the referee waved it off. So I guess they deemed that there was a clear and obvious error and that he had to change that decision. But let's not spend too much time on that penalty because we were dominant and that goal was coming. I think we hit the post a couple times before we even got that penalty anyway. So it's not like it was a pivotal moment in the game. Right after that penalty, guys, it seems like a couple minutes after. Um, Hakan, after scoring the penalty, this time he turned provider and he lays it off to DeMarco, who, as we know, with that left foot of his, he when he strikes it pure, those are diamonds. And bottom corner, the goalkeeper could not do anything. Um, I want to go ahead. I'll go to Joe first. Tell me, man. Let's take me through your reaction for that second goal. Maybe you saw it more in depth than me. Like, was it something that we were? Was it like Inzaghi ball, or was it something that we just won the ball and happened to be in the right position at the right time?
No, that was Inzaghi ball. They had changed the position of play against the low block like that.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Right when it went to DeMarco, I was just like, that's a goal. Because in that position with that left foot,
Yeah.
you can't beat that.
Yeah.
Um,
No, for me, before sorry to cut you off. Before you continue,
but
for me, what the only question for me was whether he decided that he was gonna shoot it or try to cross it. Like now, but to me,
mm,
once he decided that he was gonna hit that, it was a goal to me. But go ahead, bro.
absolutely, yeah. If he decided to cross it, yeah, good point. But I knew he was going to take it because I know when he gets in those positions, he likes to be a little selfish, and that can be okay.
That's
So
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a great goal. And he had a good game yesterday overall.
No, for sure. I agree. And Ian, second goal, man, real quick. Take me through your reaction. At that point, of course, seeing the run of play, us getting a second goal in succession, I'm sure it's not even cocky to say that we could tell that the game was probably over already at that point. Do you agree?
I mean, the Slovenian commentator said it best. Like, when Inter go 2-0 up, it's just a matter of time before they get the third. And after that, it's game over.
Yeah.
Like, our commentator was stone cold on that. Like, I mean, the way we were playing yesterday, honestly, I don't think there's any way Udinese can stop us. I mean, no
No, I
disrespect to Udinese, but they got one win
No.
this season against Milan. But still.
Thank you for pointing that out. But no, I agree. Sometimes when you're watching football, give me a second. I'm sorry.
Sometimes you just can't stop the team. Sometimes you just gotta let it roll through you. And I mean, that's what happens when DiMarco
It
gets
just
the
shows
ball in
we
that.
got that dog in us.
We're him. We're him.
Very good wordplay, Joe. But yes, Ian, you said it for me. Thank you. I had to mute up for a second. Every time this dog hears somebody outside, she has to bark, and she's about this size. It's not like she's gonna do anything. But yes, sometimes when you're watching a football match, guys, from the first minute, you can tell like, yo, this team is gonna dominate that team, and they can't stop it. And that's the feeling I kind of got. And I'll say this: like once that second goal went in quick succession, it became a matter. Okay, yo, how many we're gonna score? Is it gonna be? Is this or yearly 6-0? Because it seems like every year we beat a team 6-0, 6-7-0. That's what it was for me. And of course, I turned out to be right because a couple minutes after that, it was Mkhitaryan crossing a beautiful peach of a ball to the Turam. In my opinion, he would have had a harder time missing that than scoring it, And again, Mkhitaryan, who is a guy that he arrived at the team with not too much fanfare. We were seeing him as more of a rotational player, an experienced veteran, but he's turned out to be a key player for us, and he's quietly just contributing to the team and keeping Fratesi or expensive signing this summer, 40 million on the bench. I'll go to you first, Ian. That third goal. Of course, your boy Marcus Thuram getting a goal. He's getting more in the goals. Tell me, at that point, how did you feel?
It's over. It's over. 3-0 at home. The fans already singing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over. Done, dusted, pack your bags, go home. I'm sorry, but it's not arrogance, it's confidence, but it's really, truly over. When we get rolling the way we do, nothing can stop us. And the fact that we made early substitutions, I'm just looking at the game now. In the 56th minute, we took out Bastoni and Thuram, brought in Arnautovic and Augusto, and we scored one more.
Yeah.
Done, dusted, nothing.
Yeah. And you can kind of tell that the only reason why he left Lautaro out there was because he wanted him to get a goal. Inzaghi really went into self-preservation mode quite early in the second half because it was obvious that game was over and we could start looking forward to the next games. Joe, that third goal, was it the third goal that there's a clip going on Twitter right now. I think we built it up from the back. I think it was like 24, 25 passes that led to that final cross. I know you like that kind of stuff, so the floor is yours, man.
Pure limone ball, as Mateus said. It's pure limone ball.
Sour.
Oh, it's just beautiful when you see goals like that and build up like that. And it's not the first time this season. We saw it against Juventus. We've seen it against numerous opponents. Even if it doesn't end in a goal, it's beautiful. And it's a sign of a team that's really on the same wavelength tactically, and that's insane. At this point in the season, especially because we're still kind of early, right? We're not even halfway through the Serie A season. We still have more than half our matches left. To already be on that wavelength at this point is really, really, really good. One thing I want to say about Mkhitaryan too, on that goal and just in the game in general, he was. I thought he was. This is his best match in a while. I think he's been a little unfairly criticized, a little bit. He hasn't been great, but I don't think he's been as bad as people made him out to be.
Agree.
But yeah, So I was really happy with it. And the match was so over, as Ian said, that the American halftime show crew was talking about how Udinese didn't even feel like they wanted to come out at halftime. You could see them. I mean,
Yeah,
they did not want to come out.
it
Like
was true.
they knew it was done. It was
Yeah,
over.
that
So
was true. Because our players were on the pitch already set up, and they were still not coming out of the tunnels. So yeah, I was watching it on Paramount Plus, and I did catch that joke as well. Okay, so finally, towards the end of the game, the subs are made. Arnautovic comes in, Cuadrado, all the changes that Inzaghi made. Lautaro, forever determined to get his goal. He seemed to have reached that level that we've wanted from him this season. He's still battling in the 83rd, 84th minute. He goes and fights back and wins the ball back himself from halftime and drives and takes one of his beauties from the outside of the box, and the keeper had stood no chance. What a deserved goal! Like I don't know, man. This player, I know. I've been very critical of him, and usually those jumps you expect them from players 23, 24 years old, and to me, when it didn't happen 2 years ago or last season for him, I was like, okay, maybe that's what he's gonna be. He's just gonna be the streaky striker that battles a lot and all that. He's never gonna reach that level. Of course, like you mentioned, we're not even halfway through the season. He could still yet have his usual drought that of not scoring a goal in a month or so. But right now he has a different look to him. Do you guys agree? I'll go with Joe first.
oh yeah. And like Ian said, Inzaghi left him on because he really needed that goal. He missed some sitters. Which they weren't huge sitters. They weren't like right on the doorstep of the goal sitters, but they're ones he should have probably put away. Like the header in the first half that hit off the crossbar. But he got that goal, and you saw the celebration. I mean, this is a goal for 4-0, right? The match is over. It's the 80-something minute, and he goes up and he stands on the advertising board, and he goes and he does his like party thing.
Does that celebration
Yeah,
remind you of
yeah,
anything?
yeah. Just
That
a
was
little bit.
quite reminiscent of that second leg against Milan last year, right? When he scored
Yeah,
after that Lukaku pass, and then he went up,
yeah.
and he pretty much this is his team now. He's the guy in the San Siro now, and to hear that we're it's not even rumors anymore. He's confirming himself that they're already talking about extending him a couple more years. He's gonna be
Hopefully
our
by
next.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna be our next guy. That we know how our relationship goes with Argentinian well, not strikers, but players in general. He's gonna follow in that vein of Zanetti and what Icardi was supposed to be without Wanda. He's gonna be that guy. He's our captain, and he's gonna leave Inter. If he leaves Inter, he's gonna be 34, 35 years old and finish, and probably wanting to go back to Argentina before he comes back as a director, hopefully. All right, but guys, that's it. We wrapped up the 4 goals, but I wanted us to actually let's touch back on the match before we leave Udinese fully. I wanted to give a couple shout outs, starting with Bisek. Last match that he started was against Benfica, and we saw some of the good and some of the bad. This match was all good, and we didn't have much defending to do, so it's not like he got to show too much of his defensive prowess. But going forward, he showed that he understands how the team plays, what Inzaghi wants from him, and he fits. He has the qualities to be able to do so. I didn't know that he personally. I didn't know that he can run with the ball like that with the ball at his feet. Is doing one touch passes, no look passes, knowing exactly where his teammates are. I was impressed, and that's definitely a promising player. That's one for me personally. I want to keep an eye on and see how he continues to develop. Do you guys have any players that you want to give a shout to or anything about the game?
Bisek was amazing yesterday. The amount of balls that came through it. Pause.
Yeah.
The amount of passes that came through him yesterday, like I'm just looking at the statistic: 107 accurate passes out of 113 attempted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, even like long balls that he played like 10, created a big chance, according to SofaScore, which, all right, we know what SofaScore is, but still,
no, but
was amazing.
remember, I think they're talking about that one too, DeMarco. Remember when he crossed
I
it
think
back to
so.
DeMarco. Yeah, so I guess that was a big chance.
Like
I'll give him
the
that.
boy's amazing. Like it took a while for him to get here, to get
Yeah,
going, to even play. But like now that he's been here with the injury crisis, him stepping up,
yeah.
perfect, amazing, 10 out of 10.
Absolutely. And real quick before we leave Udinese, I wanted to hover right back to what Joe said in the beginning. The way we executed that game plan, man, it was amazing to see. Inzaghi got it spot on. He knew that Jofi was going to come and play a low block and probably trying to hit us on the counter. And the best way to do that is to not allow that low block to set. Just switch the ball quickly from one side to another where they have to adjust and then attack. That was for me. That was a master class, and to me, the way that they were unable to adjust all match, it showed that we're at that position where with that that's force to be reckoned with. Kind of like, I don't want to say it's not this, of course, not the same thing at all, but it's kind of like that Barcelona in their prime when they finally found their football. No matter what you had to do, you just couldn't stop it. They were going to execute their game plan, and we're heading to that level now. I'm ready to leave the Udinese match unless you guys have anything you want to add, and we can go straight to previewing. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, just one more thing.
Uh-huh.
One thing about the tactical aspect of this is I've been watching some tactical videos recently on YouTube just to kind of
Uh-huh.
learn more and refresh my memory.
Uh-huh.
Against the low block, one thing I was watching ironically a Sean Dyche tactical video from Coach's Voice. The great Sean Dyche. Um, but one thing he uses to describe those long diagonals is you have to make up hard you're playing that low block. And the more often you have players making up those hard yards, it's a grueling thing to do. And we saw yesterday when we made those Udinese players try to make up those hard yards, they couldn't do it. They weren't capable. Those aren't their levels, and
Yeah.
it was really promising to see.
But here's the thing, Joe. Usually that happens in the second half because you tire a team down from chasing those balls, and you finally get a breakthrough. Like, why did Udinese, they look like they were struggling to keep up from minute one, and if anything, if one of the teams should be more tired than the other, it should have been us. So I guess that's probably a
Yeah,
reflection of the spirit in that squad and why they're actually near the bottom spots of the table.
no, absolutely, and I that's what makes this so impressive is that Udinese played significantly less matches than we have.
Mhm.
Yeah, they've got some injuries like De La Fey was out, but still, I mean, making up those hard yards shouldn't be that grueling for them. At least at the beginning of the match play, they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't
Yeah,
do it.
for sure, for sure. All right, well, let's move on then, guys. Our upcoming match is the last game of the CL group stages. We spoke about it a little bit last episode where we're previewing it, but it's finally upon us. Is the next match. It's the game against Real Sociedad, where the winner pretty much tops the group. I believe. Please correct me if I'm wrong. A draw does not suit us in this situation because
Right.
we
Goal
drew one
difference.
one in goal difference. Yes. So from an enter perspective, this is a match that if we want to finish first in the group, we have to beat Real Sociedad. So I'm gonna start with you, Ian. What do you expect? Maybe I guess Inzaghi's subs yesterday gave us a hint a bit. What do you expect from Inzaghi on Tuesday? Do you think he's gonna go strong as 11, or he's gonna try to rotate a little bit, or how serious you think you expect them to treat that Real Sociedad match?
I'm torn because on one hand, we did say the second star is the priority, getting the 20th Scudetto, and like we're through either way. Plus, we have the Lazio match, so why bother? On the other hand, do you know how much money you get more if you finish first? I think it's like a couple of million more if you finish first in the groups. Plus, you get a greater chance of getting easier opponents in the second round, meaning you get a greater chance of progressing, getting more money.
More money,
So
yeah.
yeah, I'm torn, but I think he's just gonna put out the strongest 11. It's Champions League. Fans will be coming from everywhere. he just wants to put on a show. I think plus Sociedad, we drew the first game 1-1 in San Sebastian, and I think this is going to be his way of saying, all right, let's finish this. Let's finish first.
For sure. All right, that's what I expect as well. I'm glad you were able to come on with us because last week you weren't on, and now I get your take. I think we're all on the same page because if I remember correctly, Joe feels the same way, right, Joe? You expect them to go strongest 11 and go for the win?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe except for, I know he said he actually leaned over to Fertese because Fertese didn't get subbed on yesterday. So there's pictures of Inzaghi and video of him leaning over to Fertese. And he's actually mentioned this after the game and basically saying, yeah, kid, your time's going to come. And he actually said after the match, Fertese's probably going to start against Sociedad. So I expect Fertese and maybe Augusto to start. The interesting thing will be whether he trusts Bisek enough to start against Sociedad, because I don't think Cuadrado has 90 minutes or even 50, 60 in his legs.
Yeah. In that case, bro, does it seem like does it sound like he has an option but to start Bisek? I don't think he has a choice, right?
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. I think it's going to go strong. The strongest 11 he can. Yeah.
Okay, so you expect them to? Yeah, that's a very, very good shout. He did pretty much come out and say, yeah, Fratesi is probably going to start. So you expect them to rotate a bit. Probably Fratesi is going to start and Carlos Augusto. Now, here's my question for you: do you expect them to start Fratesi over Barella, or is he going to do his usual playing Barella on the left in the Mkhitaryan role and then starting Fratesi on the left? I mean on the right.
My hunch would be he plays Fratesi and Barella together for the match.
And the rest Mkhitaryan.
Yeah, but I can't rule out Mkhitaryan playing. I just can't. He really likes Mkhitaryan. Yeah, we know.
We know. Okay, and also your other sub, Carlos Augusto, again, another player that covers multiple roles. Do you expect them to rest DiMarco, or is it going to be a situation of him bringing back Bastoni slowly? He's coming off an injury. Is he going to start Carlos Augusto as left center back or left wing back, in your opinion?
Wing back. I think Bastoni, he got the 55 minutes because he just came back from injury, and he's going to get the full 90 hopefully this time, if not close to it. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. Let's go a little deeper then. I personally, I'm not gonna lie and say I follow Real Sociedad or follow the Spanish league in depth. I probably, if there's a Clásico I see or if there's a big fixture, I'll tune in and I have the time. But so I say that to say this: I haven't followed Real Sociedad. I don't know how they're doing in the league. But what I do know is that in the Champions League, they've been tremendous. I'm not sure if it's the opponent or if it's them really fitting that competition better with their players and their style. What do you guys expect? Do you guys think we can actually pull it off? This is a team that we can beat, or is it something that is going to be a contentious match that we're going to have to fight and crawl to beat? Because to be honest with you, that first match that we played them at their home, of course we made a lot of rotations, but they dominated us for most of that game. And from a neutral perspective, it would be fair to say that we left their stadium with an undeserved point, and it wouldn't be unfair to say. So I'll go to you first, Joe. What do you think? You think we can go ahead and beat Real Sociedad and win the game? I mean, win the group easily, or is it something that we're gonna have to fight and crawl for?
It's going to be a slog. I watched late last night. I watched because Sociedad played yesterday too. I watched the first half of their match against Villarreal. They won 3-0. All 3 goals coming in the first half. The thing they do so well, and you can even see this against the match against us, where they pretty much dominated the whole match. It was our worst match of the season. They are such a good pressing and counter pressing team. So good. Just he has them so well drilled. And it's hard to keep possession and it's hard to retain possession against them. They play with a very high line also with that, but they hardly get exposed because their counter pressing is so good. What I will say is their midfielder Bryce Mendez went out injured yesterday and he's going to miss the Inter match.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big loss for them. He's been
That's a
probably
key
their
player for
best
them.
yeah, he's been probably their second best midfielder this season
Okay.
in a very good midfield. Also, what's his name? I think it's Unai or something Baranachea, the winger on the other left winger. He's out, so
Well,
they're not exactly 100%.
they're not at full strength. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we have an opportunity. I would bet on us to win. I'm not a betting man, but I would bet on us to win. Um,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
No, that's definitely reassuring. Being at home as well, we're gonna have our fans at our back. Knowing that they'll be missing two key players. I know we're missing a bunch ourselves. I expect us to be able to pull it off as well. Inzaghi, he's gained my trust. You know, we've seen his growth as a manager to a point now where I think he's gonna be spot on. How about you, Ian? I'm not sure how familiar you are with Real Sociedad on their form. Do you think you expect us to be able to do it, or do you think it's going to be something that we're going to have to fight and crawl for?
I've got a couple of friends that are Real Madrid fans, so they know the Spanish league very well, and they say that Sociedad can be one of the toughest teams to beat, just because of the fact that they press constantly and relentlessly and all the time, pushing up, squeezing the life out of you, which we saw in the first game.
Yeah.
But I just looked it up. They have been playing 3 games away in a row since the 2nd of December. So in the last 8 days, they played 3 games in a way against Osasuna, against Andretex, and Villarreal. And now they're going to play the 4th one away against us. And so I don't know. I'm hoping the fatigue kicks in. I saw also, as Joe said, they've got a couple of injuries to like 3 or 4 key players. I really hope we beat them. I really hope no one gets injured just because we have Lazio next. But I mean, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be a tough match either way.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And just for morale's sake, I'm sure the players feel it as well. As Joe put it, the first match against them, that was our worst match of the season. We were unrecognizable. But mind you, we did start. I believe we started Aslani that game. We started Arnautovic as a striker. So yeah, it wasn't our best foot forward by any stretch of the imagination. If Inzaghi does start his strongest 11, I expect us to be able to pull it off. All right, let's move on to Lazio. The league is definitely our main concern. Of course, right now, seeing how the usual favorite teams in Europe, the Man Cities, the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munichs, they're not looking too scary right now. I'll say it is fair as Inter fans to start paying more attention to the Champions League and even secretly feeling like we have a real shot at it. But our main priority remains the Serie A, that second star, and it looks like we have the opportunity to make it happen this season. So let's go to Lazio. Lazio, to me, they've been a side they've been one of the more disappointing sides this season in the Serie A so far. For a side that finished second in the league, ahead of us, ahead of Juve, ahead of Milan. They've taken a major step back. Of course, they've lost their talisman and Milenkovic Savic, but they've been up and down. Curiously, they've been better in the Champions League than they've been in the league, and I expected the opposite for whatever reason. They look like they're going to go through to the next round, or have they already qualified, or do they need to beat Atletico or draw against
They've
Atletico?
qualified.
They've qualified, so they've already gone through, and so kudos to them on that front. But in the league, they've been unrecognizable. So I'm gonna go ahead and go and start with Ian this time. Tell me, what do you expect in the Lazio match? First off, forgive me, I haven't looked. Is it at home, or are we traveling to the Olimpico?
It's away.
It's
It's
away to the
away.
Olympico. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's the fixture that me personally, since Inzaghi's been our manager, I don't believe we've won that fixture. We've
I don't
lost it
think
both
so.
times. So maybe that could be used as a motivation for the players, or maybe it could be a trap game in the midst of our great form that we're talking about with the best team in the league right now. So let's go with you first, Ian. What do you expect? What are your hopes for the Lazio match, or do you think we can make it happen?
Lazio have been so weird this season. I'm just looking at their record. There are 6 wins, 3 draws, and 6 losses, and 16 and 16 goal difference. They haven't even scored. They're barely averaging a goal a
Wow.
match. And yet, when they turn the switch on, I'm pretty sure they could beat us. But you did say it great. They have lost Milinkovic-Savic. I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing so bad.
Yeah.
When you basically build a team around him, and then poof, the guy goes to Saudi Arabia for however much he went,
Yeah.
Plus, they drew against Verona the last game. So I don't know. I think let me just see if anyone's injured for them. Patrick is doubtful. Romagnoli is out. Isaksen is out, and Luis Alberto is in doubt, all knocked. Plus, they still have the Atletico game this week. So I don't know. Does he rest them for this game and then plays them against us? Even whichever scenario it is, they're not going to be 100%.
Yeah, those are some big names.
Yeah, like Luis Alberto, Romagnoli, Patrick, they're all standard in and out of the starting 11, So
No, for sure. No, go ahead.
I really hope we win, but as you know, I'm kind of conservative with my predictions.
I know.
I'm gonna go for a 1-1, just because I can see us fuck it up, just because of our injury crisis in the defense.
You see, Joe, he had a 1-1 for Udinese, but we went 4-0, but he's right back with another 1-1. Like, I don't know what we could do with this guy.
Hey, you know what? If it works, it works. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep jinxing. Keep reverse jinxing. I guess we need balance in the podcast, so we have to have Mr. Conservative over here. But yeah, I agree with you, Ian. If it's a matter of pure form, it shouldn't be close. It should be another trouncing. Granted that we leave the game against Sociedad unscathed with no injuries or anything like that. We should easily beat Lazio. But as I said personally, that fixture, of course, is more than just a regular fixture for the Lazio players, which some of them were still remaining that were coached by Inzaghi, and also for Inzaghi himself, which is the first team that gave him a chance as being a manager on that level, and he spent so many years there as a player and a manager. So there's some emotional connection there. It's not just a fixture for Inzaghi. So I hope that he can put whatever it is to the side and make sure that he stays professional, and we can have a great performance that we haven't seen in that fixture. So I'll go ahead and throw it to you, Joe. What do you got to say about the fixture?
So, having watched Lazio this season quite a bit throughout, Champions League, they look awful. They genuinely look dreadful.
Yep.
Their midfield looks just so disorganized. It doesn't look like a sorry team at all. They haven't integrated their new signings well, at all. From Isaksen to Kamada. Kamada's barely seeing the pitch.
Yeah. Only Ganduzi has been a good signing to them, it seems.
Yeah, it's weird. They just did bad business, it looks like. At least so far, it looks that way. They couldn't even beat Hellas Verona on Saturday. Even in the Champions League, some of these matches that they've won, I think, again, 1-0 against Feyenoord at home, I remember, that pretty much sealed their qualification. They were terrible. Yeah, they were terrible. That being said, this match scares me. Just because he's never won there, and we always played poorly when we went to Lazio. There's something about it. When we play at home against Lazio, we seem to be fine.
Yeah.
When we go to the Olimpico, there's a problem. So if they can get past the mental block, I like our chances, and I'd feel very confident. We need a good first half to give me confidence, but until I see it, I'm going to be very worried.
Okay. Well, you guys are sent. Well, not you guys. Ian, he got off the fence and he said 1-1. Joe, I'm gonna push you for a prediction. I want a score prediction, bro. What do you have for me?
2-1.
Okay.
2-1.
That's good enough. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. Well, not so much on a limb. I'll say the guys surprise us. There's just a different feel to the team this season. on and off the pitch. You're seeing Turam being one of the main protagonists of that. Always playing around with his teammates, always playing jokes and stuff, and that's good for the morale. They just feel like a winning group, so I feel like they're gonna surprise us, and I'll say a comfortable 2-0. Maybe that's more hopeful than not, but yeah, I'll go with a comfortable 2-0 against Lazio. Do you guys have anything you want to add to the Lazio preview Lazio match? Because after that, we're gonna move on to actually talking about the league. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say it's kind of funny. Mateus Vecino has been exiled from the squad pretty much from Lazio, and it surprises me absolutely. Yes. He's been causing locker room problems, apparently. He wasn't in their squad against Genoa for the Coppa Italia. I'm unclear if he was in their squad this weekend, but he's causing some problems, which is kind of
That's
fun.
odd.
So,
I have not heard that.
yeah.
If anything, I was under the impression that he was doing well for them because I've seen a couple flashes where he scored key goals for them or whatnot.
Yeah, he had a good season last year. This
Mhm.
year it's been dreadful,
Not so much.
as it
Okay.
has been with the Lazio squad in general.
That's crazy. Well, Serie A, there's always some drama, so we we have that going on with Vicino. He's a guy, I don't remember him ever causing any issues at Inter. So I'm glad he was professional when he was here, even when he was stuck on the bench for most of the time. But hey, too bad for Lazio. Yeah, before we leave, guys, I want to talk about the title race. Let's talk about the title race. We're praising Inter, and of course, most of the praise is warranted. We're playing beautiful football, best defense in the league, best attack in the league. I think we have plus 30 goal difference. That's unheard of, and but yet here goes Juventus, 2 points behind us, and Juventus are playing a style where they don't risk much. They find a way to get a goal, and then it's 10 men behind the ball, and you just can't break them down. Um, how do you guys feel? I know last episode we kind of broached that topic a bit, and I don't want to be disrespectful to also Milan and Bologna or even Roma, other teams that right now it's not halfway yet, so we have to still talk about them in the title race. But my main focus is Juve. Last episode we were saying how okay, the way they're playing is probably not sustainable, and they should start dropping points soon, and we should be gaining some breathing room, saying that we're clearly the best team giving the eye test. But yet here goes Juve. How do you guys feel? Do you feel like okay, this is Allegri's plan, it's working, and that's something that we're gonna have to be worried about until match day 38? Or do you guys still feel like okay, it's just taking a little longer, they're getting a little luckier? I mean, a little more luck, but that's gonna run out still. So I'm gonna start with you first, Joe.
So, I have difficult feelings about Juventus this season in terms of how sustainable this is.
Uh-huh.
I think after watching the match on Friday against Napoli, no one's going to help us in this title race. We have to do it ourselves. And Napoli are in a very bad place, to be clear. But it just they made it life impossible for Napoli's attack. For Kvaratskhelia was horrible. He missed the open chance. And then Osimhen didn't get a sniff of goal.
No.
And it was. I mean, he's a very smart coach, Allegri. He's a very smart coach, and he's going to keep them in it probably until the end. And we just have to be prepared for that because they're going to be a very tough nut to crack for most teams this season. Hopefully, we're going to get some results to go our way soon. I think their next match against Genoa is going to be pretty tough for them. But we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to hear what Ian thinks.
Go ahead,
I
Ian.
mean, I think Mr. Pleasant said it best here. Juve are not playing in Europe. It's a big advantage for them, 2 games a week max. If even that, they play basically once a week.
Yeah.
And if you see the recent fixtures, they haven't lost since that Sassuolo match, which we lost as well, to be honest, against Sassuolo. But still, they've been on quite a roll, beating Milan, beating Fiorentina, which is always a tricky game, drawing against us, even beating Napoli. Most of these wins are, except for the Torino one, are by 1 goal. which means they're grinding it out. But they remind me a little bit of the Mancini squad from, I think it was 2015, 2016, where we were top of the league with 7, 8, 1-0 wins in a row, something crazy like that.
Ironically, that's something that Joe says a lot. Yeah, I do see the similarities between those two squads. You guys are both spot on. One thing I can say for the other side is like when you look into those games, let's say the Monza match, for example. They won that. I mean that match. I was already celebrating that last minute. Well, it seemed like a last minute equalizer from Carboni, and they went right back to the other side and scored the winner. And the match against Napoli, Napoli had a couple chances 1-on-1 against the keeper, and they just could not put them away. So there is a bit of a luck factor, because I don't think Allegri he drills his players very well defensively, and they're never out of place. But I don't think Celia missing those chances is part of his training. I don't think stuff like, certain things that the ball bounces their way, you don't prepare for it, and it's just pure luck. And that's the one thing that gives me a little hope that, you know what, they're not playing this well. There's no way they're going to be able to keep up with us. But you got to remember, out of all the active managers, if there's one that's more experienced in winning Serie A titles and knows how to do them, it's Allegri. So he knows what he's doing. There's another comment I also saw, Ian. I think that was from Mattia. He said that we've never won a Serie A title when Juve have been the team that we've competed with. And I found that interesting. I was trying to think from the top of my head, and I think he may be right. I remember we've gotten close. We got robbed a couple times, but usually when it's Juve and us in the title race, we usually are the ones that lose it. So that's a very interesting take. And let's see if we can finally break that duck this year, if it's the truth.
I mean, they're not playing very well, and yet they're still winning. That's the thing that scares me. I mean, luck should run out sooner rather than later, but like when you see that Napoli basically have all the ball, and yet they somehow have equal shots, and only 3 of all the shots out of 24 in the game go on target. Like, they just edge it out. They just have that, I won't say mental edge. Well, maybe.
But here's a question though, Ian. You said they're not playing very well. That's questionable. Do you think that in Allegri's mind, what they're doing is not exactly what he wants them to do? Like, do you think Allegri is not satisfied? In my opinion, I think he's like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. Just get that goal, and then they can never break us down. We're not even going to try to attack. Do you think that he's satisfied with that, or do you think that, because here's what I'm asking. The Juventus are not playing well thing. Do you think it's more of an outside thing more than an inside thing? Do you think in the inside, like from the Juve side, do you think they're satisfied with what they're doing and how they're doing it?
I think the thing that for a player, it's very tedious to play this sort of football. Like, I know from second-hand experience, I've talked to footballers that when you play boring and defensive, I won't say boring defensive football, but like when all you do is like just try and block your own goal for a whole season, it's really difficult to do that. I mean, I think sooner rather than later, some of the players are just going to fall off, because it gets very, very hard to play the whole season at this kind of level, which they have been doing. They've been grinding it out. But as we remember from the Mancini side of 15-16, we dropped off after Christmas.
You're right.
In my eyes, I really don't think they're going to be able to keep it up. I hope not. Like, until March, maybe. But then that April and May stretch is going to be very difficult for them.
All right. Well, just as I hope that your 1-1 predictions never come true, I hope this one does come true. All right. Well, can we scan through some comments, see if there's anything we can react to, any questions before we wrap it up? I feel like you guys have been great. We've covered all the topics.
I mean, where's Risto? Come on.
Risto had to tend to some family business, but he sent the other fair weather fan, as you guys could see, Ian. So it's either that's the guarantee. Once we win a game, we're guaranteed one of Risto or Ian, if not both. So that's the rule, Martin. One of the Balkan boys.
Yeah, I mean, people have been saying it the whole episode, basically. We've been playing absolutely amazing. Even praising Hakan, praise where you got to give praise where it's due.
Yeah.
Apparently, he has 10 and 10 from the spot for us.
Yep.
Fucking amazing.
I think it's even more than that, if I'm not mistaken.
Might be.
Last year. Mm-hmm.
Not really sure. People have been saying that Lautaro is the man, And I mean,
100%.
I think ever since he had that kid in the beginning of the year, he's just been on the roll. I think mentally it sorted him out, because we all know Lautaro used to argue a lot. He used to be bitchy, streaky, inconsistent. I think that kind of sorted him out mentally, and even getting the captain's armband now officially, first captain, all game, every game, Yeah. I think it's one of the things that really, said, all right, now it's time to switch. Now it's time to do this. Okay. Praise for Bisek. I mean, Bisek has been playing great. Like the last game, this one has been great.
Yeah.
And then people have touched on the Lazio game. Oh no, sorry, this is the Sociedad one. People have touched on the Lazio game, We'll see. I'm really excited for the match. This is one of the ones of the league that I'm very excited for always. Lazio has some kind of connection to Inter, in my eyes. Sooner rather than later, even the Tifosi are on friendly terms.
Well, yeah, we're supposed to be twin fans with them, actually.
Yeah,
we're on good terms. But that's one thing that I wish to actually get to go spend some time in Italy and live all of that, and to be more familiar with some of the fan stories or whatnot. But as far as I know, we're supposed to be twin fans with Lazio fans, so I never go too hard on them on Twitter or whatnot. Before we wrap it up, Joe, you had mentioned that you feel Juve's next fixture against Genoa should be a tough one for them. Genoa haven't been doing particularly well. Can you elaborate on that? What do you think? Is it a matter of them Juve actually having to attack this time, or is that what you're saying?
So maybe some of it's that. Also, in my mind, Genoa's fans at the Marassi are incredible. And this season, they've been incredible. It's a very tough environment to go. We haven't won at the Marassi even against Sampdoria in like 2 years. So it's a very tough place to play. I don't know if it's whether you have to walk to the dressing room across the field and you can't just go behind the dugout. I don't know what it is, but those fans are incredible. The stadium is such a hostile environment. Something just tells me 0-0 or maybe even 1-0 Genoa. I just have no feeling about it.
I mean, are you seeing what I'm seeing? This was the last game they played at in Genoa. It was a 2-1, 90 plus 6.
And that was the Genoa side that got relegated too, so you never know.
Wow. If this happens, I'll owe you a drink, Joe. Like, honestly, because for me, I was looking at Juve's fixture list, and that I crossed that off automatically without even giving it some thought. I didn't even wonder if it was a home and away, who's injured, who's not. I'm like, yeah, Genoa, they're gonna beat that. But if they don't, I owe you a drink.
I'll hold you to that.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I mean, you guys have been amazing, man. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Joe. This episode's been fun. I thought that it was gonna last a little longer, seeing the topics that we had to cover, but you guys were very smooth. Thank you everybody for joining us. Mattia, Mr. Pleasant, anybody else that I'm not mentioning. Thank you very much, guys. It means a lot to us. We're gonna wrap it up. Does anybody have anything to say before we wrap it up?
Forza Inter.
Forza Inter. And Ian, don't forget the intro, Ian.
No, never.
He said never. Go ahead. Brothers and sisters of the world.
Nice.